my name is Jenny. I'm the careers consultant for graduates here at the university, but I also obviously work with students as well. And you can continue to access the career service for up to 2 years after you finish your course. So there is that ongoing element of career support available. And I'm also joined today by my colleague Sammy, who I'll let introduce herself now.
Hi, I'm Sammy. I work in the graduate transitions team with Jenny, and I will be looking after the chat box today. So if you've got any questions, you can put them in there.
Great, thank you. So what will you get from today's session? So there's 6 main intended learning outcomes for this session today. So we want to use the R to help you recognise the skills that employers are looking for, but also to think about the skills that you already have and the ones that you need to develop, and how you can begin to start developing these skills. And then we'll talk about what you do after you've developed these skills, or if you've identified that you already have those skills. So that will cover how to articulate effectively those skills on applications and in interviews, so you can demonstrate them to employers. We'll include a couple of tips from recent alumni on upskilling, and there will be a chance to ask any questions you have at the end. So it's a really packed session today. There's a lot that we're going to cover in the next hour. But before we do start, I'd just like to make you aware of the equality, diversity and inclusion policies and initiatives we have available on our website if you'd like to have a look at them. So we are aware here in the career service that everyone up until this point has had different experiences of and even access to careers information, advice and guidance. And here at the University of Manchester's career service, we aim to give impartial advice to everyone, regardless of who you are or how you identify. So if you would like to find out a little bit more about that, have a look at our equality, diversity and inclusion pages just there. And as we go through the session, which will be recorded and uploaded to the Career Service YouTube channel, you'll find that there's lots of links to different resources throughout the slides. So in that way, the presentation almost acts like a workbook that you can work through in your own time as well. In order for us to send the slides to you, we will need you to register. So if you can scan the QR code there, or you can also follow the link in the chat that Sammy has posted, you can register your attendance for this event. The event name is Skills Graduate Employers Want, or Grad Employers Want, and this will just allow us to email you the slides, but also it can help us keep your Career Connect record up to date. So as the session is recorded, you may wish to keep your camera off, although you should only be able to see the slides. There are a couple of you that have your cameras on. That's okay, but just be aware that it will be recorded, so you may want to turn them off. As we come to the end, you may wish to turn on your cameras for questions. Just ensure that you're muted throughout, and you can always unmute yourself if you've got any questions at the end. Or you can also just use the chat box, as Sammy said, to ask any questions throughout the session, and we will come to those at the end. So today's session, as I've already said, will cover the skills that graduate and student employers want and how you can develop and articulate them in your applications. And within the career service, we do a lot of employer engagement work. So we talk to employers all the time about what they're looking for in their new graduate hires. But the main source of information for this presentation was from a recent survey and report from the ISE. And that is the Institute of Student and Graduate Employers. So they ran a report January to February this year, and 151 graduate employers participated in it, and collectively these employers are responsible for the development of around 60,000 early career hires. If I can ask you just to mute yourself, please. So there are many facets to this report, but one of the most interesting and certainly the most relevant for this presentation today is the skills and attributes section. And this section looks at the skills and attributes that new hires possess at the point of hire. So it explores sort of the employer's perceptions of the skills and attributes that their new graduate hires have and do not have, and the ones that they want them to have. So the report itself found that graduate employers expect a lot more from graduate hires in most skills areas at the point of hire than school and college leavers. And obviously, for the sake of our audience today, we're going to concentrate on what they want out of graduate hires. Just a little note about the last bullet point there. So while many employers or respondents for this report offer training and development, respondents reported that they were most concerned that graduates lack a few key skills, which we'll outline. And interestingly, respondents reported that work experience is often, in their opinion, a better indicator of a candidate's skill than a postgraduate degree alone. And the key word there is alone. So on top of your degree, it's essential to build experience and skills, and with that will come confidence and networks as well. So really the key point here is not to discourage you from doing a postgraduate degree, or indeed you may already be doing one, but to concentrate on not only what the skills and knowledge you'll get from your degree, whether it's your undergraduate or your postgraduate, but also what you can do outside of your degree to build relevant experience and skills. So the types of skills that we're going to talk about today can be split into 4 main categories, and these are the categories that employers look for. We'll look for each of these in turn. A key element of this presentation is to make you aware of these skills and also give you ideas of how you can identify the ones that you have and then articulate them effectively on applications, but also build and develop ones that you maybe don't have at the minute. So I really do want the tone of this presentation to be hopeful and positive, because you can very much develop these skills. You don't have to have them at the moment, and we have loads of advice and resources available to help you gain these skills and further strengthen them. So firstly, we'll look at attributes and skills. So the first group of skills and attributes asks about attitudes and behaviours that employers want their graduate hires to have when they start work. So for graduates, this analysis shows that most employers are generally quite happy with graduates in all the main attitudes and behaviours, which is really good news. The areas where they're most likely to have concern, as you can see here, are self-awareness, where 13% of employers report concerns, followed by emotional intelligence, roughly 1 in 10, and then resilience, about 8%. So let's look at each of these sort of problem areas in turn. This is just sort of an overview of what each of these means. So you may come across terms like self-awareness, emotional intelligence, resilience in lots of different aspects of life. Sometimes the definitions can be pretty similar, but there's a slightly different tweak when you're thinking about them in the workplace. So let's look at each in turn. So self-awareness, this is your awareness of yourself and your, sorry, I went a little bit too fast there, your awareness of yourself and your understanding of your character, your interests, as it says here, your strengths, your preferred ways of working, your values and your ambitions. Emotional intelligence is usually linked to your ability to articulate and manage your emotions, as well as how you interact with other people and their emotions, and that's linked to interpersonal skills. And finally, resilience. This has become a bit of a buzzword in times of COVID and the pandemic, and it is really important. It's very much linked to, in the workplace, your ability to recover quickly and learn from setbacks. So slightly different definitions when you think about them in terms of the workplace. So practical ways you can develop your self-awareness. So think about yourself. Take some time to reflect. Think about your personality, your preferred ways of working, and what energizes and drains you. So concerns about self-awareness were often raised by respondents as creating wider challenges, because employers really want new hires to have a realistic estimation of their capabilities in order to successfully engage them in training. So some employers also stress the importance of focusing on resilience and self-awareness during the current crisis. And crucially, self-awareness is also tested at graduate interviews quite a lot. So a strengths-based interview will test your awareness of yourself in ways that maybe traditional competency-based interviews will not. So the best thing you can do to develop self-awareness is to reflect. And we've got a couple of prompts on the screen here to help you do that. So firstly, think about what you enjoy doing and what you're good at. So this could be on your course, this could be via part-time work, your extracurriculars, and then link these to different skills that you see in job descriptions. So for example, maybe you enjoy group work and liaising with others on different projects during your course. And this could indicate that you enjoy using your teamwork and collaboration skills to solve problems. Perhaps you feel really satisfied when you complete your to-do list, and this could suggest that you're maybe a task-oriented person. Then think about what's important to you. And remember, this will change over time, whether you're a student or a graduate, and what you want out of your first graduate job will develop over time. And we'll think a little bit more about this in a moment. Your personal values are also really important. So what's important to you? So again, this will change over time, but maybe at the moment, helping others, supporting or guiding others is a real driver for you. And it's something you're going to look for in your first graduate job. Or on the other hand, maybe influence and autonomy are key motivators. So Prospects Planner is a great way to help you think about your skills and your motivations and your ambitions. It's an online quiz. It only takes about 20 minutes, and it asks you questions based on your ambitions and your values and your strengths, and then matches these to examples of sectors and job roles that you could be suited for. And we also have loads and loads of personality and career inventories on profiling for success, and they'll help you think about your working and your learning styles, your motivators, your strengths, and how these could match to particular occupations. So a little bit of a mini task. It's not that interactive, but have a look here at the screen, and you'll find 18 values that graduates often cite when they're looking for their first graduate job. And what I'd like you to do is pick your top 3. So your top 3 right now, and put them in the chat. So there's lots of different areas. So maybe in your first graduate job, your location is a major theme for you. Maybe you just want to stay in Manchester, or you just want to stay in the UK, and that's one of your top ones. Maybe salary is really important to you. You're looking for a specific salary threshold. Maybe you really want an opportunity to travel. You could be really interested in promotion and how you can progress within an organisation, or maybe you're really interested in your work-life balance and you want to have a job that will work around your life. So just take a couple of moments here and look at the select 2 or 3 and stick them in the chat. Progression, promotion, absolutely. Ethical workplace, that comes up a lot as well. And being part of a tight-knit team, that's a good point actually, because that would perhaps indicate that you may be looking for roles within small to medium-sized businesses as opposed to large corporates. That's a great one. Having real responsibility, being challenged, work-life balance, high salary, yeah. Progression and promotion, that's coming up a lot. Absolutely. Being challenged, yeah. Ethical work, opportunity to make a difference. Absolutely. Being part of a big organisation due to visa reasons, that's actually a really good point, because some of your values may be less person-centred and more logistical. You may need to work for a large organisation, etc. Networking opportunities, that's crucial, especially at the start of your career. That's really important to build your networks and to learn from other people. Being part of a big organisation, but being part of a tight-knit team. That's actually the first time I've seen both of them together, and it's very, very possible. So that's great. Location, salary, work-life balance. Yeah, that's great. Okay, that's fantastic. Okay, so let's move on here. Hopefully that exercise will help you when you're looking for jobs to sort of, sometimes there's so many jobs out there, especially if you go on Career Connect. It can feel a little bit overwhelming. How do you decide which ones you're going to apply for? And thinking about your values and you know, what you want out of your first graduate job can help with that a little bit. So thank you. Okay, so let's move on to emotional intelligence. So emotional intelligence is, within a workplace, it's linked to your ability to manage and articulate your emotions and how you respond to others, so your interpersonal skills. And these are really important in the workplace, whether it's an office, whether it's remote working from home, whether it's in a lab, in the classroom, if you're a teacher, whatever it is, because it's all about how you encounter new challenges in people and how you sort of relate to new ways of working. So emotional intelligence, 11% of employers said that they were concerned that graduates do not possess high enough emotional intelligence, roughly about 1 in 10. But the good news is there's loads of ways to develop emotional intelligence. It's not static or stagnant. So here are a couple of examples on screen. So as we've already said, emotional intelligence is really linked to interpersonal skills. And you can develop interpersonal skills by identifying new ways in which you can engage with and work with new people. So this could be through volunteering or extracurriculars like PASS or peer mentoring. If you're a graduate, it could be through online volunteering or part-time work or graduate internships. Pushing yourself out of your comfort zone will also help you reflect on how you react to the unknown and how you face challenges. So if you're a student, you could take a university college module because that will be an interdisciplinary module that's slightly different to your degree. So that shows how you react to new information and people outside of your course. And if you're a graduate or indeed a student, doing some work experience is a great way of challenge yourself, even a week's work experience. A week's work shadowing. And we have loads of advice on how to forge your own opportunities in your desired sectors, as well as looking for advertised opportunities. And I just remind you to mute yourself, please. Teamwork. So teamwork is very, very heavily connected to emotional intelligence, which again relates to interpersonal skills. And there's lots of ways you can develop teamwork on your course, through societies, through Manchester Leadership Programme, through Stellify. If you're a graduate, volunteering, I would say, is one of the best ways to practice teamwork. But you can also get this through, you know, part-time work like retail or hospitality, perhaps graduate internships like Manchester Graduate Talent. That's a really good way of building up teamwork. And communication is the ability to communicate verbally or via written communication, even electronic means, but it also covers interpersonal skills, presentation and negotiation skills. In an employment context, communication skills are everywhere. So they're used in team meetings, they're the key to develop positive working relationships with colleagues and clients. And there are lots of ways to improve your communication. So again, work experience, course, doing virtual work experience, competitions, and we will talk a little bit more about virtual work experience as well. Customer service experience. So many direct entry graduate roles will ask for in their list of essential skills customer service experience. That doesn't have to be in an office environment. That could be through retail or hospitality, anything where you're engaging with customers. And again, it doesn't even have to be face-to-face. It could be online chat service or an in-demand Q&A. Perhaps if you're volunteering for a charity and you're looking after their social media, you could do a live Q&A via Instagram. All that is customer service. And I do see that a lot in graduate job descriptions. And then lastly, influence. So influence links to your skills of persuasion and negotiation, how you influence a situation to reach a positive outcome. It's to do with communicating with impact. It's also really linked to listening to people. And Influence comes with leadership skills. So we'll talk a little bit more about leadership skills, and we'll dissect that a little bit more in a bit. But this could involve taking on a project, perhaps at university as part of a society, but it could also be working as a supervisor or a team leader in your part-time work, or managing a project or volunteers during work experience or volunteering. And the last in terms of attributes and skills is resilience. So again, in an employment context, resilience is how you bounce back from setbacks and you learn from situations that are both in and outside of your control. Basically, it's how you react to challenges. So resilience can be a tough one to acquire and demonstrate on applications. We do have lots of advice on how you can handle competitive situations on our bounce back pages. You see what I mean about this being a workbook? It's very, it links to lots of resources that you can use in your own time. I'm just sort of giving you an overview of everything that's available to you, and trying to break down some of the skills. But please do register to make sure you have the slides, and then you can work through them in your own time. And I think the bounce back pages are really good because there is a whole section on how not to blame yourself, and instead use the situation as a learning point. Attending careers workshops, as you are now, and even employer events, is a great way of developing resilience, because it's a safe environment with other students and graduates where you can practice loads of different skills within that more secure environment. Resilience can be developed through asking for feedback after interview rejection and using that feedback perhaps as a platform to improve. But to be honest, even without employer feedback, because I know sometimes you don't get feedback after the application stage, you can still develop resilience by reflecting on what you felt went well, what you didn't, how did you respond, how could you improve next time, and sort of within that of and getting another point of view on a situation or an application that got rejected, or an interview that didn't reach the next stage, can really help. It can help to get an outsider perspective to help you reframe failures or rejections in a way that can help you learn and improve for next time and develop resilience. And you can definitely book a careers guidance appointment to talk to myself or another careers consultant about a whole range of career related issues to do with resilience or rejections. A lot of people think careers guidance appointments are just for, if you don't know what to do, but actually we can help you work through lots of different careers issues. And remember, in the context of interviews, assessment centres during your first graduate job, it's totally normal to be nervous and to make mistakes. We all do it. Even CEO of organisations make mistakes. You're not expected to be perfect. And I think that goes a long way in terms of sort of strengthening your resilience as well. So, technical skills. So in this area, except for basic IT and digital skills, most employers reported that graduates didn't have the skills that were needed. And the areas of most concern were coding and programming, or about a quarter of employers said that graduates didn't have these skills. Job-specific technical skills, that was about 16%, and data handling and analysis, about 13%. So it's great if you have developed these skills through your course. For example, data handling and analysis could be developed through project work or analysing and evaluating case studies, but not all courses will help you develop these skills directly. The good news is it's really, really possible to develop these skills even if you're not formally learning them through your course. So let's have a look at that now. So some practical examples of how you can develop these technical skills. Before you do anything, I think the number one thing is to look at the job descriptions of the roles that you're applying for or you want to apply for, and find out exactly which technical skills employers are looking for. So every employer will need different technical skills. They could range from sort of general experience of Microsoft Office, so that would be sort of your Word, your Excel, your PowerPoint, your Outlook, like your emails and your calendar, to proficiency in specific coding languages like Python, Java, or C++. So it really is important to look at the job descriptions. Just be aware though that in the report, the employers did say that they put a lot of emphasis on training and development. So you're not always expected to know, well, you're never actually expected to know exactly what you should be doing and all the skills that you should have before starting the job. There's a lot of on-the-job training, especially for graduate jobs. So it is rare that you'll see, you know, advanced proficiency requirements for specific skills, but it does happen, and it is common, more common in some jobs than others. So it is really important to look early and to find out what sort of skills you should be developing and how to go about developing them. And we've got a list of free and low cost online training courses on our website in a whole host of areas, including IT, coding and programming. Virtual work experience is also a great way of gaining experience in specific areas in a safe environment from the comfort of your own home, like software engineering, digital design and branding. They take about 5 to 6 hours. They're completely free and they're all online for University of Manchester students and graduates. They are from a variety of large companies like Deloitte, KPMG and Clifford Chance. So definitely would encourage you to have a look at the virtual work experience programs in terms of developing experience of and gaining exposure to technical skills. And you can also learn from other alumni who have taught themselves how to code to secure their graduate roles outside of their job. Like Liana and Louisa, which we linked to. So they didn't learn coding throughout their courses, but they did it on the side, and that ultimately helped them land their graduate roles. And upskilling in general is just a really, really great idea, especially within digital and IT, and it helps future-proof your skill set. So there's lots of advice on the Career Service blog about online volunteering, online learning and networking. And lastly, chances are you probably already have lots of digital skills, even if you feel that you don't, from social media usage to IT skills, even, you know, your ability to use Zoom. You're all on Zoom at the minute, so you're proficient in using Zoom, and Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Google, they're all used in big graduate employers, because a lot of us are still working from home, or at least hybrid working, which means sort of half in the workplace, half online. Sometimes not 50-50, but it ranges. So have a look on our blog. My colleague Amanda wrote a great blog post on how you can do sort of an audit of your digital skills and how you can effectively present these skills on your applications. And we're going to look at the last two sections together, transferable and workplace skills, just because they're very, very linked. And also I want to give you all a chance to ask any questions that you might have. There's a couple in the chat already, and we will come to them. So let's start with transferable skills, and these can be built up through university and also wider life experience and then translated to work. So transferable skills are basically skills and abilities that can be applied to a whole range of situations and scenarios, from your uni work to part-time work to volunteering to your first graduate job. So having a look at the employer perspective, in general, really great news. Employers are positive about the transferable skills of graduates, which is good. The main areas of concern are time management, with about 9% of employers worried that graduates don't have this, followed by presentation skills, about 8%. But on the whole, transferable skills are pretty strong. Of course, I should say this is from the report and the survey. You yourself will know if you have these skills and if you're able to demonstrate them and articulate them on applications. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. So there's lots of ways you can develop these skills, and we will talk about that, but chances are you already have them. So instead of giving you practical examples of how you can develop these transferable skills, I thought it might be a good idea just to let's take each of them in turn and break them down into what they actually are. And then we'll do the same with workplace skills before looking at how you can write about these skills on applications and talk about them in interviews. So let's start with time management. So time management is all about how you organize and plan your tasks, your workload, and how you respond under pressure. For example, how you reprioritize tasks to meet deadlines. So a great example of this would be your university work. Chances are you're doing multiple modules at the same time. You have to balance your weekly work with assignments, with your contact hours, with seminars, tutorials, labs, lectures, and perhaps when you're coming up to an assignment deadline, you reprioritize a little bit, and you maybe focus on one module over the other temporarily in response to that deadline. So that's an example of how you manage your time. Chances are you definitely have already practiced presentations at university in some shape or form. But remember that this was the second top transferable skill that employers were worried about. About 8% of employers were worried that new graduates don't have presentation skills that they're looking for. To a certain extent, presentation skills will be developed throughout the job. Chances are that presentation skills you will develop these in your job. So they're not going to be perfect. Employers don't expect them to be perfect, but they are looking for a certain proficiency in presentation, and that is often assessed in interviews, because sometimes, especially for large graduate schemes, you'll be asked to give presentations or feedback from group work, and that's how they're assessing these presentation skills. But presentation skills are more than how you present to an audience. They're also linked to how effectively you engage with them, with the audience through written and verbal communication, and also visual design of your PowerPoints, and how you're able to break down concepts to maybe to suit your audience and adapt your communication style, because how you present to perhaps senior colleagues will be very different to how you present to your peers. It's just about adapting your communication style. And similarly with writing, written communication is so much more than about how you write, although accuracy and attention to detail in terms of spelling and grammar are totally crucial in this. But also how you research and present information in written format, through emails, through reports, through essays, it's talking about uni, through social media. If you're looking for advertising, marketing, digital communication, social media writing, and the ability to adapt your communication style to suit different social media audiences is really important. And again, they'd be looking here for your editing, your proofreading skills, and also heavily linked to attention to detail. Problem solving is linked to how you can think outside of the box, how you can show initiative under pressure, and how you can adopt a logical but also critical and flexible approach to problems. So you will find a lot of graduate job descriptions will ask for problem solving skills. Numeracy is something that I'm seeing increasingly more in job descriptions, and it can be linked to technical skills like data handling, analysis and evaluation, and also how you compile and interpret statistical data, but also to transferable skills like accuracy and attention to detail. And numeracy can be developed in lots of different ways. We will talk about how, but even, things like if you've got a part-time job in retail or hospitality and you're responsible for handling cash or sort of cashing up at the end of the day, if you're on a society and you're responsible for maybe a budget for an event or a summer ball, all that is linked to your numeracy skills. If you're working on case studies, maybe if you're a business student, or geography student, how you sort of analyze and interpret the statistics that go into your essays and assignments. And then listening. So listening is essential in lots of customer facing work, like relationship account management, consultancy. If you're interested in consultancy, client facing work is ongoing. And it denotes your ability to concentrate, retain information, respond effectively. It's heavily linked, or it sometimes can be heavily linked to confidentiality. And if you're working with people, active listening will probably be critical. So that's sort of more than superficial listening, but it's about engaging closely with what the person is saying. So it includes your body language, how you summarize what they say, and how you ask questions to delve deeper into what they say. So it's linked to a genuine, possessing a genuine curiosity in the other person. And then teamwork. So teamwork has come up again and again throughout this presentation, and it encompasses how you work with others, your collaborative working experiences, how you communicate with others, how you delegate tasks, how you keep an eye on time, and how you resolve conflict as well. And finally, interpersonal skills. So interpersonal skills go hand in hand with teamwork and communication skills, and they're connected again to customer service and relationship management. So how do you communicate with others in a professional, polite and clear way? It's also to do with your confidence, your professionalism, and how you both give and respond to feedback as well. So you might see these skills come up in job descriptions, but you might see iterations of these skills. So for example, instead of interpersonal skills, you might see relationship management or customer service, for example. So sometimes it's really important to use the wording on the job description in your application. So if the employer is looking for customer service skills, you know, explicitly use those on your CV, that phrase on your CV in your application. So the final group of skills that we're going to look at is skills that relate to specific work environments. So that could be offices, labs, classrooms, on site with employers, and also your workplace increasingly is, you know, it could be your desk in your bedroom if you're working remotely. So employers, according to the ISE survey, found that graduates don't have all of the workplace skills that they need at the point of hire. To a certain extent, this isn't surprising because you wouldn't be expected to have workplace skills before you start a job, because that is, the workplace skills are skills by definition that you acquire in the workplace. But this is why things like volunteering, internships, work shadowing, etc. are so important. It's so important to get experience within a workplace environment. And the areas that employers are most concerned about are career management skills. We'll talk a bit about what they are in a minute, with almost a quarter of employers surveyed feeling that graduates didn't possess career management skills, and the ability to both manage up and negotiate and influence, with about a fifth of employers stating that graduates don't have these skills. So let's have a look at them. Your ability to self-manage and manage those around you, as well as your career, you know, your ability to manage your career, it's quite interesting because that went from the 6th most important skill in 2020 to the #1 most important skill listed by employers in 2021. So it shows that your ability to manage yourself, others, and your career is increasingly important throughout the pandemic, and perhaps if you are working remotely or in a hybrid sort of fashion. So let's break down each of them again in turn, as we did with the transferable skills, and because unlike the transferable skills, for many people these skills may be unfamiliar. So managing up, that is how you communicate with your colleagues, but more specifically your line manager. So how you communicate and identify and work towards previously agreed goals and objectives. Negotiation and influencing. So this is all about how you communicate with impact, how you persuade others to your way of thinking while listening and responding to them in an appropriate and professional way. And negotiation and influencing is strongly linked to leadership. So leadership is often assessed during the graduate selection process through group work and assessments. But a lot of people think, oh, to display leadership skills, I have to be the one that talks the most. I have to be the one in charge. It's much more nuanced and wider than that. So leadership skills can also include how you support and empower and listen to others, how you bring others into the conversation who are maybe a little quieter, how you have the bigger picture in mind, how you bring people together to work together, how you maintain a sense of direction. And it could even be as simple as keeping an eye on the time. For example, in assessment centres, you know, constantly saying, okay, we've got 20 minutes left, shall we move forward? Shall we compromise, agree on a way to move forward? That is an example of demonstrating leadership skills. And likewise, dealing with conflict can also be assessed through the recruitment process in many scenarios. For example, assessment centres, you know, with disagreements. So it's linked to how you listen and communicate with others, listen to and communicate with others, and how you agreed a shared purpose and how you compromise and move forward to reach the goal. Commercial awareness is so important, but a lot of people don't know what it means, and that's why I have sort of put a spotlight slide on it later on. But just for the sake of now and how we're working through it now, commercial awareness is how the organization operates within a wider context. So, you know, lots of organizations have different key performance indicators. They have goals for how much profit they want to make, or their turnover, or, you know, how many people they engage and influence. And also how they perform in relation to their competitors. So commercial awareness is linked to how well you understand how organizations respond to internal and external challenges, how you understand their clients and what they want, and how they make effective decisions for the good of the business, and also how they stage themselves in relation to their competitors. So we'll have a look at some practical examples of how you can develop and demonstrate commercial awareness shortly, because I know that's a sticking point for a lot of people. But business appropriate communication, that's more specific than general communication skills. So that's why I've included it on the workplace skills as well as the transferable skills slide. This is connected to how you approach and communicate with people you work with. So colleagues, senior staff, external clients and customers. It's about how you write emails, how you answer the phone in the office, how you understand your audience and adapt your communication style to suit your audience. And within that, spelling and grammar and attention to detail is absolutely crucial. And finally, your ability to work remotely, which has catapulted in importance since the rise of home working during the pandemic. So this denotes your ability to work independently, how you manage yourself, your time, your workload, and is heavily influenced by trust and openness. So how trustworthy you are, you know, does your manager or your colleagues or your peers trust you to do your part of the project and to contribute in a meaningful way, even if they can't see you do it. So that's an important one as well. And there are so many spaces where you can develop both transferable and workplace skills. And for the purposes of this presentation, I've linked all of the transferable and workplace skills that employers have mentioned to particular places that you can develop them, as you can see on the screen at the minute. But the truth is you can develop multiple skills across multiple places. If you could just mute yourself, and multiple scenarios. So I won't go through them all in detail, but sort of as an overview, there's 5 main spaces. So you've got your academic space, whether you're still at university or you've recently left it, you will still have you know, experience of developing lots of skills through university. Your ability to work remotely and independently, presentation, group work, writing, problem solving. Your extracurriculars, this could be your sports, your societies, professional work experience, so work experience, work shadowing, internships, online careers fairs and workshops. This workshop is an example of a professional experience. Your social, so how you engage with your friends, your peers, your classmates, your colleagues at work, volunteering. And part-time work as well. So that could be a great way of you know, developing your ability to engage with your manager or your supervisor, how to manage up, how to deal with conflict. Perhaps if you're working in a customer service environment, you know, a lot of us have experience with retail and hospitality, and sometimes you do have to deal with complaints and deal with conflict in a professional way. And numeracy skills as well, what I was talking about earlier, you know, if you work, say, in a bar or a restaurant or a cafe and you're responsible for handling cash. So let's put a spotlight on commercial awareness. Just because I know some people do struggle with it. And there are lots of ways that you can begin to boost your commercial awareness. So let's just have a look at 5 of them. Or sorry, 6 of them. So the first thing is to research the company. That could be as simple as just Googling them. So have a look at their website, have a look at the job descriptions that they post. What are their mission statements. What are their values, their company culture? What do they say about their company culture? What are their performance indicators? So have a look on their website about how they measured their success. What key skills and behaviors and attributes are they looking for that they list on their job description? That shows what type of person they want to join their team and to fit in with that company culture. You can even look at, by Googling them, you can find news articles about them. You can go on the About Us pages of their website. That can be quite a good source of building commercial awareness around that particular organisation or business. Lots of sectors and industries have accredited professional bodies. So, for example, marketing has the Chartered Institute of Marketing. Engineering has the Royal Academy of Engineering. There's lots of different institutes for engineering. Finance has the Chartered Institute of Public Finance and Accountancy. So these sorts of chartered bodies or professional bodies that provide accreditation have journal subscriptions on their website. They host online events. They often advertise job opportunities as well. And you can sometimes get student or recent graduate membership for some of these. But, some of the resources and even some of the events might be free. One of the most important ways you can develop commercial awareness is just by talking to employers, again, in that safe environment, through online careers fairs or online careers events where employers are opening themselves up to you. They want students and recent graduates to engage with them. They want the opportunity to tell you what they want. So here you can really find out what they're looking for, what it would be like to work there and how you can impress them. And we have lots of employer events, workshops and careers fairs happening all the time. So if you look on the events calendar of Career Connect, you can have a look at them. I think even the law fair, I think it's next week if you're interested in law. And you can also, as well as employers, you can learn so much from alumni. So you can come to meet the professional events to hear directly about what it's like to work for a particular organisation or in an individual sector, and what you need to do to get your foot in the door, how you can stand out at application and interview. And alumni are really best placed to tell you about that because they've gone through exactly the same process. And to be honest, even looking just on LinkedIn, having a look at alumni's LinkedIn pages to have a look at their career trajectory can be really useful to inspire your career. So what I sometimes suggest is, if you've got a dream job in mind, putting it in the LinkedIn search bar, having a look at alumni who are in that job and scrolling right to the bottom of their profile and see how they started their career. What were their first graduate jobs that ultimately led to that career? Don't shy away of sending an alumni connection request. Always put a message in if you don't know them, saying that you notice that you both went to the same university, they're working in your desired sector or field, and it would be great to connect. And you never know, that might start a conversation. And also, even if it doesn't, it's a way of building your network. And we have loads of advice on how to communicate with contacts, LinkedIn contacts, on our website. And there's absolutely no substitute for work experience. So remember what we said at the start, that employers said that a key indicator of skills was work experience. And there's lots of different types of work experience. There's insight days, there's employer events, there's work shadowing, there's internships, there's part-time jobs, summer internships or summer jobs, graduate internships like Manchester Graduate Talent, but not all of them are advertised. So you can create your own opportunities. And we have a whole section on how to tap into the hidden job market and create and forge these opportunities yourself, particularly in competitive industries like media or environment and sustainability. And finally, Finimize, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, but it's a really great subscription service to not only find out more about financial markets, but also to learn about them in accessible ways. And it's free for University of Manchester students and graduates. So I definitely recommend subscribing and getting the app as well. So what happens if you've got the skills or you know how to develop them? How do you effectively translate these onto your applications and an interview so you can tell the employers that you have what they're looking for? So I thought the best way to do this was maybe to look at 3 worked examples. So the first example is part-time work. So let's have a look. So what does the employer want from the job description? And this is actually based on a real job description that's live on Career Connect right now. It's a graduate job that's live on Career Connect. So this job description is asking for excellent interpersonal skills and the ability to deal with a wide variety of people in a polite, friendly and confident manner. So think about ways in which you may have developed these interpersonal skills and your ability to communicate with a variety of people in a professional manner. Say, for example, you worked in a cafe, a part-time work, say on a Saturday, as a member of waiting staff at a busy local cafe. So saying that on your CV isn't enough. I worked at a cafe. What you have to really do is spell it out for them, how this experience enabled you to develop the skills that they're looking for. So how can you articulate this skill and experience on your CV? Here's just an example. So you could say that you provided excellent customer service as a part of a busy team of 10. It's important to quantify as much information as you can. It adds credibility to your experience. Your responsibilities included offering advice on deals, serving customers promptly, and dealing with complaints. My attention to detail hasn't been very good. You can notice a couple of errors there. Sorry about that. In a friendly, professional manner. So that's a really good sort of part A of an application point. Your part B is saying, this is how I have the interpersonal skills you're looking for. So, for example, provided excellent customer service as part of a busy team of 10, which enhanced my interpersonal skills. Part B, and then responsibilities included X, Y, and Z. As I said, that was from an actual job. The job is Teaching and Learning and Student Experience Assistant at the University of Manchester, and it closes on the 7th of November. Then we've got academic experience. So again, this is from a real job description. This employer is looking for strong research and writing skills, and they've said that they're essential. So think about what you did to develop research and writing skills. Well, your university experience so far is a great example of that. So perhaps you worked on a research project looking at loads of different case studies, and at the end you had to submit an essay for assignment based on your analysis and evaluation and your interpretation of those case studies. How can you effectively articulate that skill on your CV? So use active verbs, active language like research, analyze, evaluate case studies on a number of multinational companies, and remember to be as specific as possible, and compiled a 3,000-word report evaluating how they adapted their digital marketing strategies during COVID. That was just an example that I made up. So you're saying here, you're using active language, you're being as specific as possible, you're adding detail, and then that's your part A. Remember your part B, which has enabled me to develop my research and writing skills, or which has strengthened my research skills or capabilities. And this is from a role that's live on Career Connect at the minute with a company called Atalanta International. It's based in London, and it closes on the 20th of November, and it's account coordinator. And finally, an example of your extracurriculars. So sometimes you'll find that job descriptions are and essential skills criteria are very sparse. They don't say an awful lot. You might just have a very few essential skills that they're looking for. So this employer has just stated strong numerical skills. It's not the only skill they've looked for, but they've just stated that. They've not put an awful lot of information there. So let's look at your extracurricular experience. Perhaps you are or have been a social sec for the university's badminton society. And I'm sorry if the social sec for the badminton society is in today's session. I just picked this out as an example, just made it up. So how can you articulate this skill on your CV to show the employer that you have the numerical skills that you're looking for, that they're looking for? So elected social secretary for the UOM Badminton Society, responsible for an events budget of £2,500 and writing and presenting quarterly budgetary reports for the board. That's a really good part A. It's specific, it's detailed, it's a position of responsibility. It's missing the part B, which enhanced my numerical skills, or which enabled me to develop my experience of finance, something like that. So you're basically spelling it out to them. This is what you have, this is what you need, this is what I have. So this comes from the Fixed Income Graduate Programme at Fidelity International based in Hong Kong, and it closes on the 14th of November of this year. The last section is just some alumni tips on the importance of how to identify skills and how to develop skills and how they can ultimately benefit your graduate job search. So we'll whiz through these quickly. So here, a 2020 chemical engineering graduate, Matthew, talks about how important joining societies can be when boosting commercial awareness, but also finding out more about different sectors and organisations, as well as upskilling too. Also a little bit about how they can help you find out more about yourself as well. Ben, a 2019 material science and engineering graduate, talks about how beneficial he found engaging with alumni at events and using LinkedIn to build up that network just to inspire his career, to find out all the different career options available to him as part of his career. And we do find that University of Manchester graduates are very willing to support other graduates. So do feel free to reach out to them via LinkedIn and also meet the professionals events. And talking about careers events, Anvi, a Law with Politics 2015 graduate, talks about the importance of going to events even when they're online. So these can be really useful in terms of commercial awareness, but also building networks. You can attend webinars, careers fairs, and always, to include the top tip, which I think is great, copy down the names of the organisers or the panellists at the events, and then follow them up with either an email or connect with them on LinkedIn saying how much you enjoyed the session, if you did, and would they mind if you connected and added them to your network. And you can also leverage your interaction with them to make strong applications. So, you know, in your cover letter, you can say, oh, I found out about this opportunity by talking to one of your recruitment staff at the law fair, for example. Don't forget about your university skills. So a 2010 law graduate, Madeline, talks about all the skills that she learned in her course and how they are useful now. If I remember correctly, she's a teacher now, and she talks about how her course helped her develop communication skills and how to present herself in front of others, position herself in front of others, and also how to take on a lot of information and absorb it really quickly. And also remember to write about what you did or do outside of university. So Quisha, a 2018 Development Economics and Policy Masters graduate, talked about all the extracurricular activities that she took on while studying, but also her part-time jobs as well enabled her to build her network and you know, talk about her skills and expand her networks. And then Liana, a 2019 biochemistry graduate, talks about the importance of online courses. And she's one of our alumni who actually wasn't learning how to code within her course, but she knew that she wanted to get into programming and coding. So she did lots of online courses to upskill in her own time outside of her degree. So that was a whistle-stop tour of the skills that graduates, employers require, and how you can identify and develop them. There's lots of further support and resources to help. Firstly, sort of when you're looking at job descriptions, you can find lots of vacancies on Career Connect. Also have a look at our transferable skills section for the employability audit, which allows you to reflect on your skills and identify the ones that you have and the ones that you don't have. And we also have lots of advice on how to articulate the ones that you do have and develop the ones that you don't, or maybe need strengthening. There's lots of opportunities for you to get feedback and application support, either instantly through Career Connect Pathways and Career Set, or via 20-minute application advice appointments. And you can also book a 20-minute application advice appointment or a 30-minute or 60-minute careers guidance appointment with a careers consultant. So please do stay connected, keep up to date with all the key events and campaigns, as well as new resources by following our social media. So we've a YouTube channel where all of our workshop recordings go. We've got Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, which is new as well. And just a note about the graduate outcomes survey. So there's nothing for you to do right now about graduate outcomes, but just be aware that in 15 months after you finish your course, you'll be contacted by an organisation called HESA, which stands for the Higher Education Statistics Agency, and they'll ask you to complete a survey. It takes about 10 minutes, and it's the Graduate Outcomes Survey, and you can do it by email or on the phone. It's not mandatory, so you can opt out, but it is really helpful for the university, for policymakers, charities and governments to help inform policies that they make relating to higher education. But to be honest, it also helps the Career Service tailor our support to students and graduates as well. So just keep an eye out for that when the time comes. So thank you so much for listening today. I am aware that we're 1 minute over. I will stay behind for a couple of minutes if anyone has any questions. But if you need to rush off, don't worry, because there's lots of ways, but there are two main ways that you can connect with us and ask questions. We have the live web chat open 1 to 4. Every weekday, where you can sort of ask your questions, but also you can ask us a question via the queries button, which is in the top right hand corner of Career Connect as well.